This has been a topic of conversation. I actually addressed the faculty assembly about this. Molly Mashad invited me and I talked about this topic, and I've talked about it for my entire time on the board. Compensation is always an interest to me as a fiduciary, and the contracts themselves and the lengths of the contracts. When we went to the acting president, as I said, when I spoke with the faculty assembly, we reset briefly at 200,000. When we went to the interim president, we reset at 180,000. And I thought about that, and 180,000 doesn't sound like a lot, it seems to some people. But when I say it is $15,000 a month here in North Idaho, I think that number resonates a little differently. So I did talk with Dr. Wold a little bit about this. Wow, thought I had that silenced. I apologize. So much for my high-tech phone. And I had expressed to him that I had been kind of at a base of 180 was my thought to reset. And I talked about that with the finances and the numbers, and has publicly had put that out there. As we discussed it, I guess we agreed, or we talked about it, maybe that I could consider 180 to 200,000. So I'm a little surprised by your starting point, to be honest. But 180 to 200 for me, I think is a good place to start. I think there's some risks and why we need to start a little bit lower. One is you're going to hire somebody, and we don't know if the faculty and staff will take to them, and if it's going to be a good fit or not. Two, we are going to have an election in November, and we're going to have a new board. So hopefully it's a board that president wants to work with, and hopefully it's a president that board wants to work with. Fourth, the better he does and the longer he's here, it gives us the ability to increase and give him raises and incentive and to reward him for a job well done. The higher you start, I think the more you're limited in how you're going to move it up. And I don't know that there's as much incentive there. So for all those reasons, I'd like to start a little bit lower with the ability to reward a job well done. And we look at this on an annual basis, and then we can bump him up, or her, whoever it might be. So those are my thoughts. I just think we're dangerous to start too high. I think CWI is an outlier. Again, Dr. Wold and I talked about that. And looking at the others, including Eastern Idaho, I think we're in an okay spot for just to start. Are there any other comments or suggestions, questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Trustee Goedde.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If we start too low, we're not going to get a quality candidate. It's going to take some doing for a candidate to come here. It's a cost. Our housing market now is at a premium. There is a president in this state that's earning $300,000 a year. I think that's out of feasible range. But I want to find a quality candidate, and I don't think we're going to find it for less than a salary range of between $220,000 and $240,000 for a base salary. Therefore, I move that the board instruct the presidential search consultant to advise candidates that the salary for this position is anticipated to be in the range of $220,000 to $240,000.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
May I have one more discussion, or I guess we can?
After the second.
I second.
I do have a second. Okay. We can continue with more discussion. Trustee McKenzie.
Would you be open to a mixture to get to 230 for the first year, as there is travel, assume travel or something, to where like the first year he maybe even gets a 30,000 moving stipend, and then it be say 210 with room to go up to where you think would be.
Mr. Chairman.
Trustee Goedde.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Normally, additional benefits are negotiated in the contract. That would include such things as moving expense, health insurance, potentially retirement. What I'm talking about is the base salary.
Which he'll already be eligible for per C. If we do something additional for retirement, full benefit package with health and dental, vision, disability, and you throw on any of the other things, we're going to quickly be approaching the $300,000 anyway. And quite frankly, I think most people in this county would be appalled at those numbers. When it came out public what the former president was making, it wasn't just eye rolling. There was some people that were rather perturbed about it. And I got a lot of feedback that they couldn't believe that I was party to that we had been paying that much to start with. So I think we set ourselves up for quite a bit of criticism at those sorts of numbers. I think the average person in Kootenai County, especially the more you move away from downtown Coeur d'Alene, is going to chafe at those numbers and think that they're unreasonable and too high for a community college whose enrollment, we're only 4,000, 5,000 students. I mean, even in the world of community colleges, we're small potatoes. And yeah, the CWI guy's making that money, but their enrollment's like 4 times ours. And there's some things we have that they don't. In Eastern Idaho, College of Eastern Idaho doesn't have all that we have. Closest is probably CSI. We're still pretty close to them with the numbers we're talking before we get way high with what Dean Fisher's making. So again, I caution us to not start too high because it's going to continue to grow as we do talk about the other additions to the potential base contract.
Chair Banducci,
Trustee McKenzie.
just for context too, I'd be willing to guess, I don't know the exact number, but looking at the different salaries for the past couple of years, I would very confidently guess that the average salary of North Idaho College is between 60 and 70K. So to have a president's base salary close to, sorry for my math, 4 times that on top of additional benefits and deferred retirement packages, it just seems not.
Mr. Chairman,